We're back. I'm going over, chapter 6, the last part of it. And there's less to cover than I thought. Oh well. So last video we were talking about the exercise, training the muscle of your attention by going through the previous events of the day. And so now the next part is your attention must be developed, controlled, and concentrated in order to change your concept of self successfully and change your future. So, I mean, he breaks it down. I think I put it in my notes. Yeah, must be developed, controlled, and concentrated to change concepts of self. Yeah, I mean, so this is drive home how important it is to do an exercise like the one that he recommended. Imagine anything. Where's that? Okay. Imagination, it continues. Imagination is able to do anything, but only to the internal direction of your attention. If you persist, and I'll talk about this word in a little bit. If you persist night after night, sooner or later you awaken in yourself, the center of power, and become conscious of your greater self, the real you. Okay, so if you persist night after night, it's not explicit, but I mean, he's been talking about controlling your attention and changing concept of self. So one can assume that what by persist he means controlling your attention, controlling your imagination, imagining the best for yourself. If you persist and get, well, actually, I'll talk about that in a little bit. So just keep that in the back burner for a little bit. You'll be conscious of your greater self, the real you. He talks about the real you in the last chapter, and it's pretty powerful. Anyway, so attention is developed by repeated exercise. Yeah, okay. By repeated exercise or habit. Your habit and action becomes easier, and so in course of time gives rise to a facility or faculty which can be put to higher uses. That is related to the persisting. If you persist night after night, you'll awaken in yourself something new that you didn't have before. You'll be conscious of something that you weren't previously. So this word, facility or faculty, can mean two things: natural aptitude or an inherent mental power. So if you through habit and action becomes easier. So in course of time, it gives rise to an inherent mental power, which can then be put to higher uses. So just basically, that's what you can look forward to at the end. After you've trained your attention enough, it will become an inherent mental power, and you'll be able to travel to different worlds. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, that was a reference to a lot of Neville's lectures. In case anybody isn't aware, he met other people in different parallel universes, and he switched bodies with people, and he what is it called? He translocated. He transported himself to different parts of the world. Yeah. Okay. So last, and I can't give exact places where he said that. Just listen to enough of his lectures and he'll talk about it. Okay, last paragraph. When you attain control of the internal direction of your attention, you will no longer stand in shallow water, but will launch out into the deep of life. You will walk in the assumption of the wish fulfilled, as on a foundation more solid even than earth. That makes sense, because if you go back to the foundational facts, the whole world is made up of thought and imagination and stuff like that. Anyway, so yeah. All right, chapter 7. Result of, okay, yeah, controlling your attention. So yeah, controlling your attention is really important, and that was the summary of chapter 6. It's really important to control your attention. Okay, chapter 7 is attitude. All right, so he opens up with experiments conducted by these guys at Princeton, yeah, Hanover, New Hampshire, I think. Prove that what you see depends not on what is there, but the assumption you make when you look. It was a chore to find this study, and the best as I could find out, and someone can fact check me on this, feel free. This was a study done on optical illusions, so tricks of light perception, stuff like that. So was it like as explicitly as Neville talks about how important assumptions are? Not really, but still, it was a scientific experiment that showed that perception distorts reality based on the little tricks. Okay, I think that's all I had to say about that. Yeah. Okay. What is this? All right, let's continue onward. Since what we believe to be the real physical world is only an assumptive world, it's not surprising that these assumptions prove what appears to be solid reality as a result of expectations. Yeah, you create your reality. You don't determine what's actually there. It's filtered through what you believe and assume to be true. Okay, your assumptions determine not only what you see, but also what you do, for they govern your subconscious and conscious movements toward the fulfillment of themselves. I think I talk about here. Your assumptions determine what you see and do, because they make all movements fulfill themselves. Okay, so I just restated that. I'm gonna go over that one more time. Your assumptions determine what you see and do, because they make all movements fulfill themselves. Okay, so it's about movements. Govern your movements toward the fulfillment of themselves. I was just restating what he's been saying. And then he quotes Emerson, as the world was plastic and fluid, it is ever so much of his attributes as we bring to it. So the firmament flows. Okay, yeah. So anything about that. Okay, so it's from the American Scholar. And I'll put the link in the video, in the video notes if you want to look at it. Not he is great who can alter matter, but you can alter state of mind. My state of mind. Okay, so I think that was a quote that from the American Scholar. Yeah, check it out. It's cool. Okay, next part. Your assumption is the hand of God molding the firmament into the image that which you assume. The assumption of which fulfills the high tide, which lifts you easily off the bar of the senses, where it's so lain long stranded. Okay, yeah. So bar is this is just a. I assume that he means sandbar when he says bar here. Assumption of the wish fulfilled lifts you off the bar of the senses. Again, just restating what he's been saying. Lifts the mind into prophecy. Did he say that? Okay, next sentence. Lifts the mind into prophecy in the full right sense of the word. And if you have that controlled imagination and absorbed attention, which is possible, all that your assumption implies will come to pass. Man, okay, he's saying the same thing again. Anyway, but to summarize, assumption is the hand of God molding the firmament. Assumption of the wish fulfilled lifts you from your senses. It frees you from your senses, excuse me, and lifts the mind into prophecy. With what he said, I think prophecy just means that if you imagine what you want, then it will come to pass. And so in that case, I guess you're a prophet. No. If you have controlled all you okay, same thing. Okay, so I talk about brain chemicals here. I took these notes weeks ago. Okay, so I looked up. Oh yeah. I looked up the attention chemicals. I think it would be a good exercise for people now that modern science is able to measure the brain, and there's supplements that you can take to increase your attention. Take advantage. Do research on the best nootropics. It's nootropics. And see if there's something that allows you to increase your power of attention. I think it would be well worth it. Those chemicals, and they can be misused, I guess. I last night I did a high dopamine activity. I just looked up something instead of working, and now like I can't focus, or well, I can't focus as well as I could. Like I tried to meditate like usual, and I just couldn't do it because my dopamine. I'm assuming that all my attention chemicals were spent. So take care of them. Stay away from social media. Just look up high dopamine activities or dopamine fasting, and and please give it a shot. Again, you have everything to gain. Just increase your power of attention over here. What you have to lose is wasted time and like decreased effort in creating your ideal world. Like just bite the bullet. That's my recommendation. Anyway, oh, there we go. Yeah, internet use. So usually high reward, low effort activity decreases the power to pay attention to something that is gratifying in the longer term. So try to stay away from short-term gratification and target long-term gratification. It's a habit. It's not easy. And there's like entire, businesses and products around this and books. But if you've paid attention in chapter 6, it's well worth it. Oh man, I don't know how long I've been going. Okay, I'm gonna go through this topic, unclean or clean, and then I'm gonna stop the video because I don't know how long I've been going. I didn't set a timer. Okay, there's nothing clean or clean. So because there's nothing unclean or clean, you should assume the best and only think of what is lovely and of good report. Let's see what I said about this. Okay, so yeah, nothing intrinsically good or bad. He's explicitly said that, I think, in lectures, that you can use the power of assumption for evil or for selfish gain, and but I mean, it's going to come back to bite you. But here he's establishing there's no good, no bad. You as the selector, as the conscious selector of what you want, have the responsibility. It's all up to you. You change the world around you. You determine concept of self. It's all you. Everything is based on concept of self and what you assume to be true. Relationship between you and others. All right. So, okay. I don't think. I'm gonna just read this sentence really quick. There's not superior insight, but I'm sorry. But ignorance of this law of assumption that when you read into great men, some littleness with which you may be familiar. So this is just saying, it's not that you see things clearer if you see some weakness in a great man. Yeah, okay. I rephrased it even better. If you or if anyone sees some fault in some great man, it's not because of your ability, it's because your lack of knowledge about the law of assumption. Now, just because you see some fault in a great man, you can if you live by the law of assumption, then that's what's going to determine how you see everything, how you view people's merit or greatness or lack thereof. It's determined by what you think. Well, you know what? I don't know actually. I don't know what the relationship is. Like, what does one person's concept of self have as an effect on another person's concept of self if they were to have conflicting ideas? Don't know. But I do know that you can only focus on yourself, so you shouldn't really worry about what other people have. Just persist in your reality, in your wish, and you'll be fine. I think. I have a theory on what is the determining factor, but it's just a theory. I don't know yet. We'll see. I'm probably going to get a couple of personal examples No, actually, I think I talk about it in later on in the presentation. Okay, they don't fail. The law just is and affects things into reality. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so that's interesting to see. If they fail, it's just that the law of assumption made them act that way. The relationship you have influences your assumption of that person. Okay, so going back to the sentence here. Your particular relationship to another influences your assumption with respect to that other. Makes you see in him that which you do see. Okay, let's look at the first part of the sentence here. The first clause. Your relationship to another influences your assumption. Like the story with the Neville's wife and Neville's wife's boss, her boss. She changed, I think, her assumption of the boss and the relationship that they had, and so his behavior started to change. So, yeah. And then that which and makes you see in him that which you do see. I think that's just self-explanatory. I think he's just saying nothing. Okay, if you change your opinion of another, then what you now believe of him cannot be absolutely true, but only relatively true. So he's going back to the picture of your world being subjective and not objective. You don't determine, or you don't interpret reality as it is. You interpret reality through your assumptions and your perceptions. Okay. Oh, there's okay. Yeah, I was ahead of myself. There's a story about the costume designer. All right. It's about Neville's wife. Okay, I think, and I go over. Oh, I think I looked up opinion, like the definition of opinion. I think subjective view about something. You determine the quality or the worth of the person or whatever you have an opinion of. Yeah, so there's got to be. I mean, I'm just gonna. If you guys want to talk about what absolute truth is and why, there's got to be rules. Just like there's the law of assumption. If you are to live by that law, then that is absolute. I don't think this question is appropriately phrased because it's just a lot bigger. So that this idea is just a lot bigger than the topic that Neville's discussing. I guess I was just thinking about this as I was reading, because there are laws. The law of assumption being one of them, gravity. Or maybe not. Maybe gravity is subject to the law of assumption. But one of my life goals is to find, let's see, the absolute truth, or as near as I can, about who people are, why they do the things that they do, to like increase awareness of themselves. And then I'm just gonna like spread that message out. And I think that if people were more educated on themselves and what they were capable of, and how psychology works, how the human brain works, they were more educated and not ignorant about that kind of thing, then I think there'd be less struggle, pain, because there's a lot of pain that comes about through ignorance. People don't know how to make money, so they become an employee and live a miserable lifestyle. They don't know how to get out of their life. Well, if they knew certain things about business or investing or money or whatever, then they could take themselves out. Now, that's just like a tiny example of how ignorance can fix problems. For getting a little bit more abstract, I learned certain things about addiction and like the brain physiology and stuff like that. And I was able to, that with assumption was able to get me out of my addiction. Okay, yeah, this video's gone on very long. Yeah, we're done here. I'm gonna talk about the story later on, so stay tuned.